What is a process? A process is a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. Okay, to get a particular outcome. It's a systematic sequence of activities. I'll repeat, it's a systematic sequence of activities or tasks, okay, that are carried out to produce a specific outcome, product, or service. Okay, if that is clear, type SC, super clear, in the chat box, and we will go into the depth of the components of the process. Okay, fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. All right, next, now, if you see the process definition in the dictionary, if you see that in the dictionary, it says a number of actions or function done in order, or steps, okay, in order to produce a desired result. All right. So there are 4 layers of process definition. 4 layers of process definition. The 4 layers are like this, okay? The 4 layers are like this. First one is a step, okay? First one is the steps. The second is the time, processing time. And the third one is interdependencies. And fourth one is a resources. Where did I share this? I actually shared it here. Okay, now let me come back here. Okay, I'm back to the presentation. So these are the steps: processing time, interdependencies, the resources, and assignment. Okay, what are these steps? Okay, let me explain to you. This layer outlines all the individual actions or tasks that is needed to complete or carry out the process. Okay, you can think of it as a to-do list. Okay, what all that you have to do, where each item represents a step in the process. Okay, so let's take, for example, what do you see on the screen? What is the picture that you see on the screen? What is the picture that you see on the screen? Coffee. How many of you love coffee? Just send me a love message in the chat box if you love coffee. Okay, now through this coffee, we will explain to you the things. Okay, now for example, for making a cup of coffee, what are the steps that is involved here? Let's take a few seconds for you to explain this. What are the steps? Okay, H2O, put water. Okay, what are the steps in making a coffee? Boil water. Okay, Raju, good. Boil water. Next, add coffee powder, Raju. Okay, Nescafe. Okay, then coffee beans water. Add sugar. Okay, then add milk. Okay, add cream. Okay, and finally shake it well. 1 plus. Add sugar and drink. All right. Okay, simple. Thank you very much. So these are called as the steps. Okay, let me quickly explain. Boil the water, add coffee to the cup, pour hot water into the cup, stir the coffee. Okay, so this is simple. The steps of coffee making is very simple. Add sugar or milk if desired. Okay, depending upon the guy wants black coffee or, you know, with sugar or without sugar, whatever it is. All right. Now, next, processing time. For each step will have a processing time. Okay. Now, this layer describes how long each step process takes. Okay. It helps in understanding the total time required to complete the process, so that it also gives us an opportunity to dive deep into the activities which is taking unwanted time, so that we can improve. It's called non-value added time. Okay. So that we can do it faster and do it more effectively. All right. Now each of these steps, if I talk about the previous slide, okay, boil water. How much time will it take? Boil water. Let's say, how much time does it take to boil water? Assume that you're making 1 cup of coffee. 2 minutes. Okay. Add coffee to the cup. How many minutes it will take? Add coffee to the cup. How many minutes it will take? Okay, 30 seconds. Pour hot water into the cup. How many minutes? Stir the coffee. How many minutes? Okay, add sugar or milk if desired. Suppose if you want a milk coffee with sugar. Okay, now the question is, what is the total process time? What is the total process time? 5.5 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes. Okay. Can you give me a coffee in 5 to 7 minutes? Say yes in the chat box. A minute. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Similarly, here in your process time, you will have boil water, say 5 minutes, add coffee to the cup, 1 minute, pour water into the cup. Okay. Thanks, each and every one of you. Pour water in the cup 1 minute, stir the coffee 1 minute, and add sugar 1 minute. So we have learned about the process steps, then we know what is processing time, as simple as this. Okay, now interdependencies. What is interdependencies in this layer? Okay, the first layer was steps, the second layer was processing time, the third layer is interdependency, explanation. This layer shows how different steps are related and dependent on each other. Okay, some steps may need to be completed before others start, and it helps in organizing the sequence of tasks and managing any potential bottlenecks. So how different steps are related or dependent? Okay, and also which is the sequential steps and which is the parallel steps. Okay, and it helps in organizing the sequence of tasks and managing any potential bottlenecks. Okay, for example, let's take for example making coffee. So you must boil water before you can pour it into the cup. Okay. You need to add coffee into the cup before pouring hot water. Okay. You have to stir the coffee after the hot water and coffee are mixed. Okay. So these are all some interdependencies. If this is clear, type, give me 9 or 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, please give me a 9 or 10 if it is super, super clear. So far. 100%? Okay. Good. All right. Thank you very much. And let me go on the fourth layer, which is resources and assignment, which means that in this layer, we'll identify who is required, the people who are required, the equipment that is required, the materials that are required. Okay. We have the method, which is the fourth M. For the fourth M, which is method, we need the 3 M's. All of you type 3M in the chat box. All of you type 3. The 3 M's are man, machine, and materials. Man, machine, and material. Only then the method can be followed. Which method? The method of making coffee. Only if you have material, if you have the machines, if you have the manpower. Okay? Fantastic. All right. Thank you very much. So, if you see it ensures that everything and everyone required for the process is available and it is assigned correctly. So, for making coffee, what is the equipment needed? You need a kettle, you need a person A who is responsible for it. And for adding cup to the coffee, you need a coffee powder material, a person, who is accountable or responsible for this. And you pour hot water into the cup, you have an equipment, you have a person responsible. For stirring, you need a spoon, you have a person responsible. For adding sugar, you need sugar and raw materials, person responsible. Okay. So this is simple, right? All of you. Okay. So for these 4 layers, what does these do? These help in planning, organizing. What are these 4 layers? What is the first layer? Let us just recap. What is the first layer? All of you type in the chat box. What is the first layer? Step. Very good, Mr. Arjun Singh. Okay, what is the second layer? Quickly. Time. Okay, processing time. Very good. Fantastic. What is the third layer? Quickly. Interdependencies. Okay, which is a serial activity, parallel activity, constraint activity. Okay, fantastic. What's the fourth layer? R and A, resources and assignment of resources. Okay, so these 4 layers help in planning, organizing, managing the process effectively by breaking it down into its detailed component. Okay, no, this is just an example. You can keep on explaining this in detail. So my purpose is not to, get into the complexity of making a coffee. My purpose is to explain these 4 layers. Okay, you can refine this the way that you want. So far, if you found this session interesting, valuable, useful, fantastic, Just put it in the chat box. Let me draw some inspiration from this, okay, and dive deep into the session, okay. All right, let me go a little deeper, okay. Now the key aspects of the process, okay, I have written O S squared R squared IM, okay. All of you write OSR IM in the chat box, okay. All of you type OSR IM in the chat box. I'll explain to you the key aspects of the process. This is a little theoretical, but this is a way for you to remember, okay. Superb. Okay, don't miss to attend this session. In this session also, in me, I'll be sharing some valuable inputs. Okay, I will be sharing how you can become internationally certified. So please click on this link and join the upcoming session. Okay, now what are the key aspects of the process? Now I'll go, all of you take notes, okay? All of you take notes. Number one is objective. Every process has a goal or a specific outcome that it's to achieve. Okay, for example, coffee making process is to give a good, nice coffee. That's objective, okay? Now, there are also steps that we have seen. A process is made up of individual actions or tasks, each of which contributes to the final outcome. The second one is steps. Please write in your notebook. Second one is steps. The third one is sequence. These steps should be arranged in a particular order so that this the way that it's arranged gives the outcome. Okay. The steps in the process are usually performed in a specific order to ensure the desired result. Okay. Next, the resources. We spoke about the resources. That is, for the method to be complete, you need man, machine, and materials. Okay. That's where we talk about material, equipment, and human effort. Then the responsibility. Okay. We also need somebody responsible. We spoke about that in the resources and assignments also. Each step in the process is typically assigned to a specific individual or a team who is responsible for its completion. And interdependencies is a very important component because one step might be dependent on other. Some tasks need to be completed before the next task can begin. Like you can construct a wall only after the foundation is made, right? So that is dependent. The wall construction is dependent on the foundation. And the last but not the least, the very important is measurement. Okay, what is measurement? The processes are often measured and monitored to ensure they are efficient and effective. Okay, and to identify the key areas of improvement. So if you have noted all these 7 key aspects of the process, all of you type noted in the chat box. Okay, I want to know how many of you are noted in the notes. Okay, very important. You can take a screen share also. You can share it in the LinkedIn also. Great, fantastic, superb. Okay, now let's see some examples of this process. Okay, let's see some examples. This is a manufacturing. There is a manufacturing process. Turning raw material into finished goods. If you see the steps in manufacturing, there are designing, there is sourcing of material, there is manufacturing, quality checks, and packaging. How many of you are from manufacturing industry? Type MFG in the chat box if you are from manufacturing industry. I want to see how many of you from manufacturing industry. Okay, there are quite a few people from manufacturing industry. Thank you very much for sharing. All right. Okay, now how many of you have a different business process handling a customer order? Okay, it can be a business process like this, like receiving the order, processing the payment, packaging the product, and shipping. Okay, like what Amazon's business process does, right? Okay, so how many of you are from this category? Just type BP in the chat box if you're from this category. Some business process that you're doing. All right. Good. Thank you for sharing. And there are these people from IT industry, software development process, which is like creating a software applications where you have planning, coding, testing, and other things, right? Okay. How many of you are from the software development process? Type SDP in the chat box. I'm sure there'll be quite a few people from software development process, right? Oh, Raju is from software development process. Happy to know that. My God, there are quite a few people from IT and software development process. Okay. IT is also, you can write IT also in the chat box, right? Okay. Thank you very much for sharing. Okay. So there are different types of, this is just examples of the process. Okay. How many of you are ready for Q&A? Question and answers. Type ready in the chat box if you're ready for a Q&A. Okay, now question. What is a primary purpose of a process? What is a primary purpose of a process? Okay, the first A is to minimize resources. B is to achieve a specific goal or outcome. C, to reduce the workforce. D, to eliminate all the tasks. So the right answer is, all right, so correct answer is to achieve a specific goal or an outcome. Of course, not minimize the resources or reduce the workforce or eliminate the task. Okay, this is a very commonsensical question. Okay, let me go to the second question. What are the individual actions or tasks within a process called? Okay, the first is goals. B, it is resources. C, steps. And the D, measurements. So what's the right answer? Okay, unanimously the choice comes as C, which is the number of steps in the process. Fantastic. Okay. So the answer is C, steps. Okay, let's proceed. The next question is, why is the sequence of steps so important in a process? It's important because it minimizes the use of resources. It's important because it ensures that the desired result is achieved. It reduces the need for responsibility. It eliminates interdependencies. Why is the sequence of steps important in the process? Okay. So a lot of answer comes B, 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 B. Okay. Busy bees. Okay, the right answer is it ensures that the desired result is achieved. All right. So question, what type of resources are typically required for process? What type of resources are typically required for process? Only human effort, only time and materials, time, material, equipment, and human effort, only equipment. Very simple question, right? I did not even ask the answer. People started answering. Awesome. All right. So the correct answer is time, material, human efforts. And the question is, this is the last question in this section. Okay. Why is measurement important in the process? Why is measurement important? To eliminate interdependencies. Okay. To ensure effectiveness and efficiency in identifying areas of improvement, to assign responsibilities, to determine the sequence of steps. So what is the correct answer? So unanimously comes the answer B. So the correct answer is to ensure effectiveness and efficiency. Fantastic. Okay, so far if you found it interesting, useful, valuable, fantastic, awesome, put it in the chat box. Let us go into the major process components, which is the second section in this module. Okay, major process components. Okay, the process components are made up of inputs, outputs, event, tasks or activities, and decisions. Okay, we have seen that. Okay, what are inputs? What are inputs? So all of you type in the chat box, what are inputs? When I say what are inputs, you type, somebody is typing what are inputs. Okay, fine. Thank you for sharing. Let me quickly inputs. The inputs are the resources required to perform the process, and it might be raw material, information, tool, equipment, and human. We have already seen this example in manufacturing process. The input might be raw material like steel, plastic, machinery, workers, etc. Okay. Second is, what are activities and steps? We've already seen this Okay, it's simple. Activities are nothing but individual tasks or actions that are required to complete the project process objectives, and these activities are usually performed in a specific sequence. Example, if you see activities in an order processing, activities might be receiving the order, verifying the payment, picking the items from the inventory, packing the items, and shipping. Okay, this is the task steps. If activities are clear, type AC. Activities clear in the chat box. If activities are clear. Super. Okay, let me go into the third one. Okay, third one is output. Okay, what is an output? Output are the final product, services, or the results. For example, pizza output means a baked pizza. Coffee means coffee. Okay. So this output should meet the desired quality standards and fulfill process objectives. Okay. This is a no-brainer, very simple. Example, in baking process, the output is the baked cake that is ready for consumption. That's the output. If output is clear, type OC, output clear in the chat box. And resources. We've seen about the resources. Resources are inputs and tools that is required to perform the activities, and resources include human resources, machinery, software, and other materials to complete the task. Example, if you see software development process, the resources required are developers are required, computers are required, software tools are required, development frameworks are required. These are the resources are required. If resources is clear, type RC in the chat box. I'll go to the next. Okay, resources are also clear. Fantastic. All right. Now, control mechanisms. What is a control mechanism? Okay, the control mechanism is the procedures or standards that is used to monitor and manage the process so that it stays on track and meets objectives that is intended to. Okay, so procedures and standards, like you have quality control, you have audit, you have performance reviews. These are all control mechanisms. Example, if you see in manufacturing process, there are a lot of quality inspections, quality checks at various stages that are required to meet the final product specifications. If control mechanism is clear, type CMC in the chat box to confirm you are clear with control mechanisms. Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, next, feedback. Of course, feedback, everybody knows about feedback, good, bad, ugly, okay, better. It is an information that is gathered about the process performance, which is used to make improvements or adjustments. Okay, it helps in identifying the areas of inefficiencies or problems or areas of improvements. Example, customer feedback is given on a product. Okay, I need your feedback on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, if you found my session interesting, valuable, useful, fantastic, give me a 9 or 10. That's the feedback I want. Let's see what's the number that I'm getting. Give me a feedback on the process of my training. Somebody's put 12 also. Sincere thanks to each and every one of you. Somebody's put 100 also, 11 also. Thank you very much. Okay, so this is the feedback. Okay, feedback about my training process. Okay, boundaries and constraints. Boundaries and constraints, very, very interesting things. Okay, process boundaries are very, very important. Okay, last session we spoke about scope, process scope, the scope creep, and other things. So boundaries are very important. Okay, boundaries and constraints define the limits within the process operates. Okay. Okay. So if you say copy making process, it starts from, let's say, baking a bean is not a part of coffee. Okay, that is a different process. Coffee bean baking process or bean roasting process is different. But I will start only from maybe powdering those roasted beans. Okay, so your scope must be very, very clear. These include regulatory requirements, budget limitations, time constraints, technical limitations, all that within the process. Okay, example, in the project management, typically if you see, okay, it might include limited budget, fixed deadlines, compliance with industry standards, etc., etc. Okay, so boundaries and constraints are very, very important. Last, okay, if boundaries and constraints are clear, type BCC in the chat box. Boundaries, constraints, clear. Awesome. Okay. Now, roles and responsibilities. Roles and responsibilities. You all know that, you need to have a role clarity. You need to know that who has to perform what. Roles and responsibility clarify who is accountable for each task within the process, so that this ensures every activity has designated person or the team responsible for the completion. Example, if you see, suppose if you're doing a marketing campaign, okay, if you're doing in a marketing campaign process, the roles and responsibility might include content creator is one roles, graphic designer, social media manager, and campaign coordinator, and so on and so forth. You can imagine the roles and responsibilities in your own process. If roles and responsibility is clear, type RRC in the chat box. Double RC. Okay. And last but not the least, interdependencies. But nobody explains a simple process in this depth. Okay. Interdependency is a relationship between the activities, showing how they are related and reply to each other. This help in organizing the workflow and managing the dependencies. Okay. Example, if you see in the product development process, the design phase must be completed before the prototyping, and prototyping phase must be completed before approval, and that approval process should be completed before it is taken into operations for regular production. Okay, so this is called as interdependencies. If interdependency is clear, type I see in the chat box. So all right, so by understanding and managing these components effectively, organizations can ensure that the processes are efficient, effective, and capable of achieving its intended outcome.